things that Nigel Farage did very successfully, but he had to keep repeating the message over and over again, is the whole issue of immigration was never about the people, it was about the system. And we've got to be very careful that we don't get drawn into an extremist position ourselves, and we need to be sure that we are not associated with a minority with extreme views.
Can you imagine
That task of shaping the party's immigration policy will no doubt be high on the national agenda, and in Torbay, the focus on border control can't come soon enough.
We have incredible problems here locally, for example, with drug dealers and so on operating in the town centre, organised crime and so on. And part of the reason, of course, for the lack of police resources to support this, I'm convinced, is around the fact that they're busy chasing around, you know, around 3,500 potential jihadist terrorists in the country.
It's a policy idea which Councillor Parrott would like to see in the next chapter of UKIP's story, and one that he hopes will become a bestseller.
Johnny Rutherford reporting there, and to discuss this we're joined by UKIP's Ernie, Warrender, who's sticking with the party despite only getting 2% of the vote when he stood in June's general election. Welcome to the programme, Ernie.
Hello there.
So 2% of the vote that you got, you've got no MPs, you lost 14 councillors, and you've had defections in Plymouth to other parties. Why are you sticking with it?
Well, apart from that, it's all quite good. Listen, I mean, you could have asked the Tories the same question when Tony Blair swept to power. You could ask the same when Margaret Thatcher was there. Every party goes through the doldrums, and what you've seen is a lot of voters that I spoke to thought, right, job's done. And what we're now seeing, it isn't done at all, because, and Brexit I'm talking about predominantly, a deal is only a deal. I'm speaking as a businessman. When two parties actually want a common aim, the EU are about to lose their biggest paymaster next to Germany. They don't want to do this deal at all. At all. Theresa May, very generously, has put about £1,000 of as a taxpayer's money on the table, 20 billion quid, so the EU can continue to live the wonderful six-star life while we're in austerity. Sorry. People are beginning to realise that.
I was at the party conference in Torquay yesterday, as were you. I spoke to Henry Bolton, and this seems to be a message that he is going hard on, that Theresa May will not be able to deliver Brexit. But there is an irony, isn't there, in this, in that for UKIP to succeed as a party, Brexit has to be seen to be failing for people to come back to you.
No, because I think what we need to do, the party's evolving and professionalising. I mean, we had an election which brought together people of probably representing all sorts of views in the United Kingdom, and we had a democratic election, not a crowning or a succession.
What did you make of him, by the way, Henry Bolton? Are you pleased that he's been elected
the unknown soldier? Yeah, I am, because he is a professional leader who's had a job, and I know this is quite radical with political parties, but he is someone, if he can weld together provinces in Helmand and Afghanistan and Kosovo, I'm fairly sure he can do a reasonable job with herding the cats.
OK. Philippa, what did you make of those defections in Plymouth, the defections from UKIP?
It's a really good question, actually. I don't think it came as a surprise to any of us who are councillors. They've sat with the Conservatives for a year and done their bidding. What I am surprised about is that they haven't gone out to by-election. As Tudor Evans has said, an election is a contract with your electorate, and they've broken that contract in all three wards. The Conservatives came third, a very poor third, and we would call them out and say, a by-election, be elected.
Ernie, should there have been a by-election?
Do you know
just
what?
Defect like that?
I actually agree, because the one thing that I probably did agree with Douglas Carswell. Douglas Carswell said that the people of Clacton did not elect UKIP. They elected me as a Conservative member. They should have the opportunity. And on a broader point, we have MEPs, Assembly members who are actually party elected. They're not even elected, because a lot of people in politics have quite large egos. Obviously, present company accepted. And these people think they're going to get elected under a different ticket. I question that.
OK. Peter, are all UKIPers really Tories in disguise?
Well, there's not many of them left.
to answer that question and to mould, I think. I think UKIP, with the greatest respect to Ernie, are pretty much irrelevant now. No county councillors in Devon, none on Cornwall Council, none on North Devon Council. The UKIP vote in my seat in June went down to fewer than 2%. And there's something interesting, I think, about Mr Bolton, who's the new UKIP leader. About 10 years ago, he stood as a general election candidate for the Liberal Democrats, which is an extraordinary journey. You know, in X-Factor terms, that's quite a journey to go from the most pro-European party to going to leading the most anti-European party. I think people need to keep that in mind if they're thinking of voting UKIP.
He's making the point that his views are still very liberal, but on this issue that he differs from the Lib Dems. But, you know, Ernie, there was another point made in that film there. Julian Parrott, the UKIP Torbay councillor, linked drug problems in Torbay with the immigration policy. He says police can't solve the drug problem because they're too busy chasing jihadists. Is that the kind of thing that UKIP is saying?
Well, with the greatest respect, Peter, so I'm about to be rude to him. No, it's basically, I think, he made a tenuous link. I stood in Weston-super-Mare, where this Tory government shut the police station in Weston-super-Mare, which is one of the livelier towns in Somerset. There are 3 police crews on a Saturday night, and I drove all the way from Hereford to Plymouth to be here. I didn't see one police car because the Tories, bless them, have slashed police funding. They're about to make 1,000 Royal Marines redundant. 1,000 Royal Marines redundant.
Back to Peter.
But they're going to dole out money like Smarties for HS2, Brexit.
No,
with the greatest respect.
No, you see, the problem with the UKIP position that we saw reported in your package there is it makes that dog whistle link between policing and immigration. I don't like that. Most of the population of the South West don't like it, which is why the UKIP vote is plunging, and I think will plunge only further.
Right. Thank you very much for joining us, Ernie. Thank you for coming in. It is time now for our regular roundup of the political week in 60 seconds.